Bradley Cooper is probably waiting to be subpoenaed.
Because Diddy's currently in a scandal.
The thing is, the more she shows how happy she is and that she moved on from all of this and that she is out celebrating life, the worse it is for her lawsuit. In New York, the day after this event took place, one of Blake's besties had a 30th birthday, Gigi Hadid. There were a lot of celebrities there. Of course, her boyfriend Bradley Cooper was there, or her fiance. I don't know if they're engaged. And others were there, Anne Hathaway, her husband. Guess who wasn't there? One of her BFFs, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I don't know if she was invited or not, but I think it's weird that you don't show up in one of your best friends' 30th birthday party. It's not that you don't want to be out and seen out in public, because she did go to that event the day before. I think, maybe Gigi Hadid didn't want her to show up. I think Gigi Hadid does not want to be seen at all with her friend Blake Lively, or her ex-friend. Blake Lively added a special thanks to Bradley Cooper in the end credits of It Ends With Us. And as you know, she brought Gigi Hadid to the premiere, and I think she also had like a pre-screening where Bradley Cooper was seen at. So yeah, so why wasn't she at that birthday party?
What happens when Hollywood's golden girl starts losing her closest allies? Is Blake Lively unraveling right before our eyes? Or is this just another chapter in her carefully orchestrated PR playbook? From Gigi Hadid's shocking distance to Ryan Reynolds' desperate attempts at damage control, the cracks in Blake's polished image are starting to show. But here's the real question. Who will still stand by her side when the dust settles? In an industry where loyalty is as fragile as a house of cards, Blake Lively's recent string of controversies has left many wondering if her once untouchable status is beginning to crumble. Once the darling of Hollywood, Blake seemed to have it all: charm, talent, and a circle of powerful friends that could rival any A-list squad. Yet, beneath the surface, whispers of manipulation and calculated moves have started to emerge, painting a far less glamorous picture. Gigi Hadid's public distancing, marked by Blake's conspicuous absence at her 30th birthday bash, feels like more than just a scheduling conflict, it's a statement. And let's not forget the over-the-top PDA display with Ryan Reynolds, which came off less like romance and more like a frantic attempt to convince the world their marriage is still picture-perfect. As the layers peel back, it becomes clear that Blake's relationships aren't just fraying. They're unraveling at an alarming pace. The people who once stood firmly in her corner are now stepping back, one by one, leaving Blake to face the fallout alone. So, as her world continues to shift, the lingering question remains: who will still be standing by her side when the dust finally settles? Will it be Taylor Swift, despite Selena Gomez's ominous warnings years ago? Or will even she, like so many others, decide that enough is enough? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: Blake Lively's Hollywood fairy tale might not have the happily ever after everyone expected.
Also, we know that Blake and Ryan flew to Wales on Saturday. They were there for a football match with Ryan Reynolds' football team, Wrexham, and there were pictures everywhere of them kissing and showing PDA in public. It was so ridiculous. Everyone was like, what are they trying to prove? It seems so desperate to show that, look, we're so in love and we want to show the world how unaffected we are. The thing is, the more she shows how happy she is and that she moved on from all of this and that she is out celebrating life, the worse it is for her lawsuit. Anyways, there's all these photos of her, and then there's a video of her where she's like directing, of course, her husband and where to stand, and she's taking photos and waving to all the fans and posing with fans and taking selfies and like, hey, we're so happy and we're super popular.
Let's start with the bombshell everyone's talking about: Gigi Hadid's silent but deafening snub of Blake Lively. Once inseparable, these two were the definition of friendship goals. Red carpets, brunches, social media shoutouts. They had it all. They were practically glued at the hip, always showing up together for events that screamed BFFs forever. So, Imagine the shock when Blake didn't even show up to Gigi's 30th birthday bash, an event that brought out A-listers like Bradley Cooper and Hathaway and a slew of other celebrities who wouldn't miss it for the world. Sure, absences happen, but this wasn't just any party. It was the milestone celebration of the year. We're talking about a birthday that only comes around once, and Gigi went all out, making it a night to remember. And guess what? This wasn't a whoops, forgot moment. It was loud. It was deliberate. Some might say it was payback for Taylor Swift ghosting Blake earlier in her own drama-filled saga. Or maybe Gigi finally saw something toxic brewing beneath the surface, something others have been whispering about for years. After all, Gigi isn't one to burn bridges without reason. She's known for keeping her circle tight and steering clear of unnecessary drama. But if there's one thing Gigi can't stand, it's being dragged into someone else's mess. And let's not forget, Blake has been embroiled in some pretty messy controversies lately, from lawsuits to public feuds with people like Justin Baldoni. Maybe Gigi realized that sticking by Blake's side was becoming more trouble than it was worth. Either way, one thing's crystal clear. Blake's inner circle is shrinking. The Hollywood queen bee, who once seemed untouchable, is now watching as her closest allies slowly pull away. First, it was Taylor Swift distancing herself after Blake dragged her into a legal battle she wanted no part of. Now it's Gigi, who seems to be quietly cutting ties. Is this the beginning of Blake Lively's Hollywood exile? Or is she simply paying the price for years of alleged manipulation and calculated alliances? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. The cracks in Blake's polished image are starting to show, and they're wider than ever.
Also, another celebrity coming out against Blake. According to Daily Mail, Selena Gomez, who is really good friends with Taylor Swift, had warned Taylor Swift about Blake Lively years ago. Yeah, apparently Selena Gomez found it odd that Taylor Swift is the godmother of all of Blake Lively's children. And of course, now that we know what happened, what she dragged Taylor Swift into this, Selena Gomez is like, yeah, Taylor, I told you so. Stay away from Blake. Anyways, I don't know if this is based on rumors or whatever it is, but it's interesting to see now how so many people are taking a step back from Blake Lively. I should be there. I need to shine right now. I don't know what that means. Is that something that he trained her in thinking before she was gonna have this speech, that's like what she should be thinking? Because he can't say, I should be there, I should shine right now. Blake said to him, kiss me one more time. And that's when we see them kiss each other, and then she gets up and have the speech. I didn't make much of this. Ryan Reynolds reacting to Blake Lively's speech, where she alluded to Justin Baldoni's legal battle. So surprising that People magazine choose this headline, and then the quote that they're basing this article on is, I'm incredibly in awe of my wife in many ways. Had an article out that with a long list of Blake's victims of who she's bullied throughout her career. Bad interviews out there. I'm sure so many journalists are sitting on their interviews with her that they never published because they thought it was awful.
Fast forward to Wales, where Blake and Ryan decided to put on a masterclass in over-the-top PDA after Gigi's birthday snub. They weren't just holding hands, they were practically auditioning for a rom-com reboot. Kisses, giggles, posing for fans, it was all so perfectly staged it felt fake. Like they were trying too hard to convince us everything's fine. But here's the irony. The more they flaunted their perfect relationship, the more obvious it became that something's seriously wrong. It's almost as if they thought, if we act happy enough, no one will notice the chaos surrounding us. Spoiler alert, everyone noticed. The couple seemed determined to paint a picture of marital bliss, but their efforts only highlighted cracks beneath the surface. Photos surfaced of them laughing loudly, whispering sweet nothings into each other's ears, and even directing one another for fan photos like a choreographed performance. Every gesture screamed desperation, like they were attempting damage control rather than celebrating genuine affection. Fans couldn't help but feel skeptical. It wasn't romantic, it was rehearsed. Their smiles appeared frozen, their laughter forced, and their poses overly calculated. The harder they tried to sell this idealized version of themselves, the less believable it became. And let's not forget the timing. This display came hot on the heels of public drama involving Gigi Hadid and Taylor Swift. Instead of addressing the growing whispers about strained friendships and legal battles, Blake and Ryan doubled down on their charade, hoping the world would buy into their manufactured happiness. Yet, instead of silencing critics, their antics only amplified suspicions. People started dissecting every interaction, questioning whether their love was real or merely a smokescreen designed to distract from deeper issues. Spoiler alert, when you're trying this hard-to-prove perfection, it usually means you're far from it, and everyone watching knows it. This spectacle in Wales didn't just fail to quell rumors, it added fuel to the fire. Observers couldn't shake the feeling that Blake and Ryan were using these public displays not out of love, but out of fear. Fear that their carefully crafted image might crumble under scrutiny. Fear that the truth behind closed doors wasn't quite as rosy as they wanted us to believe. And while they posed against the picturesque Welsh backdrop, their actions spoke louder than words. This wasn't a celebration of love. It was an attempt at narrative control, and frankly, it backfired spectacularly.
Yeah,
so
like,
good.
Really,
I'll say
yeah,
it.
she saw
I'll be
it.
the review. It's amazing.
You gotta pan over to Lily and Atlas. It's a big deal. Get over here. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, and
So
like,
good.
really,
I'll say
yeah,
it.
she saw
I'll be
it.
the review. It's amazing.
Blake Lively was trying to threaten these harassment claims, and ultimately that's what came to fruition. But so in that thread, there was a bullet point that mentioned that there was a private screening that Blake Lively hosted at her penthouse in New York with a bunch of her famous friends. And so we were wondering, who were those famous friends? Because, like, listen, these are all very powerful people. Their text messages are definitely going to be important. Whatever communication is going to be important, because this could also prove that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds continued to defame Justin Baldoni. They cut ties with Justin Baldoni at WME when it didn't seem to be a bad time, right? The movie had just done well for Wayfair. It ends with us. He had the rights to a second film, so it was, presumably he was going to be profitable in the future. So why would they cut him?
Of Ryan Reynolds calling Justin Baldoni a predator while he practices these lines with his 7-year-old daughter. Before I play the clip about his daughter Inez, who plays Kid Pool, just a little reminder, in Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss that he filed a few days ago, it literally states, genuinely, perhaps passionately, believes that Mr. Baldoni's behavior is reflective of a predator. And now here's a clip of Ryan and Blake's 7-year-old daughter Inez, who played Kid Pool, and what she had to say.
Deadpool Prime here.
Poor guy.
Our fight isn't with you.
When I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's dick out of your mouth.
That's Kid.
Guiltily, that is my daughter,
I'm
Inez.
so sorry we have to admit that.
And I am Father of the Year over here for allowing her to say such language.
But this 7-year-old little girl did not want to do this, but they made her practice over and over again.
Which, to her credit, she really didn't want to say. She really didn't want to say. And then came back later and said, I want to say it now, when I started looking at other people to play.
Yeah, but Ryan, to our discredit, we made Nezzy do, I'm not shitting you, 70 to 500 versions of that line.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds writing this script for his 7-year-old daughter and practicing with her over and over again, where she literally says, when I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's D out of your mouth, is disgusting. I don't know which father would feel comfortable with that. Mind you, she was not comfortable doing this at first. They forced her to do so. And Blake Lively was definitely on board with this because she was also in the movie. Blake, Inez, and their baby was also in the movie as Baby Pool.
Now, let's rewind to a warning that's resurfacing with eerie relevance today. A warning that feels almost chilling in hindsight. According to reports, Selena Gomez once pulled Taylor Swift aside and cautioned her about Blake Lively's manipulative tendencies. At the time, Taylor and Blake were growing closer than ever, with Taylor even stepping into the deeply personal role of godmother to Blake's children. It seemed like the start of a lifelong bond, one that would solidify their places in each other's inner circles. But Selena, ever the quiet observer, reportedly saw red flags that others missed, or perhaps chose to ignore. She wasn't just looking at Blake through rose-tinted glasses. She was analyzing patterns, behaviors, and subtle signs that hinted at something more calculated beneath the surface. Fast forward to today, and Selena's advice seems almost prophetic. As Blake continues to drag Taylor into her increasingly messy legal battle with Justin Baldoni, it's hard not to wonder, was Taylor too late to heed Selena's warning? Or has she already started quietly distancing herself from Blake, realizing that the cracks in their friendship run deeper than anyone realized? One thing's certain, friendship circles can shift faster than you think, especially in Hollywood, where loyalty is often as fragile as glass. And when the stakes are high, even the tightest bonds can unravel in an instant. Speaking of drama, Blake's ongoing feud with Justin Baldoni has become the stuff of tabloid legends. What started as a professional disagreement over creative differences has spiraled into a full-blown public spectacle, dragging high-profile names like Taylor Swift into the mix. Blake's decision to involve her famous friends in the legal battle seemed strategic at first. After all, aligning herself with A-listers like Taylor was clearly an attempt to maintain her pristine image and deflect scrutiny. But instead of smoothing things over, this tactic has backfired spectacularly. It's exposed a pattern of calculated moves designed not just to protect her reputation, but also to distract from her own controversies. Every time she leans on someone else's star power, it feels less like genuine camaraderie and more like a chess move in her ongoing war for control. Is she using her friendships as leverage in this legal battle? If so, it's only adding fuel to the fire and pushing people further away. Those who were once loyal allies are now reconsidering their positions, perhaps realizing they've been unwittingly turned into pawns in Blake's larger game of manipulation. And as the list of casualties grows, one can't help but wonder, will anyone be left standing by her side when the dust finally settles? But wait, there's more. Enter the Deadpool skit controversy, a move so questionable it's left fans scratching their heads and reignited debates about celebrity parenting in the spotlight. In the sketch, Blake and Ryan pressured their 7-year-old daughter to deliver a line that many found wildly inappropriate for her age. "When I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's D out of your mouth." Not only did they make her repeat it multiple times despite her obvious reluctance, something she reportedly resisted at first, but they also went on to defend the decision publicly afterward, brushing off any concerns as overblown or unnecessary. Hypocrisy much? This is the same Ryan Reynolds who, just months earlier, publicly labeled Justin Baldoni a predator and positioned himself as a moral authority on family values and decency. Yet here he was, seemingly forgetting his own questionable parenting choices while pushing his young child into such an uncomfortable situation. How can someone preach family values while forcing their child to say such a line? The contradiction couldn't be starker. It's almost as if the couple prioritized their public image and comedic brand over the well-being and innocence of their own daughter. And let's not forget Blake's role in all of this. She didn't step in to stop it either, even though she was directly involved in the production. Instead, both parents allowed their child to participate in something that made audiences uneasy, raising serious questions about where they draw the line when it comes to protecting their family versus chasing viral moments. The answer speaks volumes about their priorities, leaving fans wondering if this was truly just a lapse in judgment or part of a larger pattern of behavior. Ryan's double standards don't stop there. He's quick to call out others for predatory behavior, publicly labeling them as threats to decency and safety, while seemingly ignoring his own actions that could be seen as equally harmful, or even worse, pushing his 7-year-old daughter to perform edgy, inappropriate content in the Deadpool skit raises serious questions about what he truly values, protecting his child's innocence or maintaining his celebrity status at any cost. It's not just about the line itself, but the repeated pressure placed on a young child who initially refused to say it, forcing her through multiple takes until she reluctantly complied. Meanwhile, Blake stayed eerily silent during the fallout, signaling tacit approval of the whole debacle. Her silence spoke volumes, suggesting complicity in prioritizing career moves over parental responsibility. Together, they've set a troubling example for their daughter, and for anyone watching, about where boundaries should lie when it comes to parenting versus public image. This kind of behavior sends a dangerous message that personal gain can outweigh the emotional well-being of a child, leaving fans and critics alike questioning whether this couple has lost sight of their priorities entirely. Furthermore, it highlights a pattern of questionable judgment calls from both Ryan and Blake, further fueling accusations of hypocrisy and misplaced values in their household decisions. Ryan's double standards don't stop there. He's quick to call out others for predatory behavior, publicly labeling them as threats to decency and safety, while seemingly ignoring his own actions that could be seen as equally harmful, or even worse, pushing his 7-year-old daughter to perform edgy, inappropriate content in the Deadpool skit raises serious questions about what he truly values, protecting his child's innocence or maintaining his celebrity status at any cost. It's not just about the line itself, but the repeated pressure placed on a young child who initially refused to say it, forcing her through multiple takes until she reluctantly complied. Meanwhile, Blake stayed eerily silent during the fallout, signaling tacit approval of the whole debacle. Her silence spoke volumes, suggesting complicity in prioritizing career moves over parental responsibility. Together, they've set a troubling example for their daughter, and for anyone watching, about where boundaries should lie when it comes to parenting versus public image. This kind of behavior sends a dangerous message that personal gain can outweigh the emotional well-being of a child, leaving fans and critics alike questioning whether this couple has lost sight of their priorities entirely. Furthermore, it highlights a pattern of questionable judgment calls from both Ryan and Blake, further fueling accusations of hypocrisy and misplaced values in their household decisions. As the spotlight begins to dim and the dust settles, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Blake Lively's seemingly perfect world is unraveling, piece by piece, under the weight of her own actions. The cracks in her polished image are no longer subtle, they're glaring. From Gigi Hadid's unmistakable cold shoulder at her milestone 30th birthday to Taylor Swift's gradual but deliberate distancing from what was once a tight-knit friendship circle, the signs are piling up faster than anyone could have predicted. And let's not forget the Deadpool skit debacle, where Blake and Ryan Reynolds pushed their young daughter into delivering an inappropriate line that shocked fans and critics alike. That moment alone raised serious questions about their parenting priorities and exposed a side of them many would rather not see. But it doesn't stop there. Every move Blake makes seems to dig her deeper into controversy. Her calculated attempts to control the narrative, whether through over-the-top PDA with Ryan or leveraging high-profile friendships like those with Bradley Cooper and Taylor Swift for public leverage, are starting to backfire. People close to her are stepping away, one by one, leaving her inner circle smaller than ever before. Selena Gomez's past warnings about Blake's manipulative tendencies now feel eerily prophetic, as the very behaviors she cautioned against come to light in full force. So, here's the million-dollar question. Do you think people around Blake are finally waking up to her true nature? Is this the beginning of a larger exodus, where even her closest allies realize they've been part of a carefully constructed facade? Or will Blake manage to rebuild her fractured relationships and repair the damage she's caused? Whatever your take on the situation, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and share whether you believe Blake Lively is facing a reckoning, and if so, who might be next to distance themselves from her chaotic orbit.